what's going on, guys? It's KLA, Cloud the Wanderer, and what you see was the introduction of my guest illustrations of Cyber Comics, if I'm pronouncing that right.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah, I noticed you got the XYBR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it different than just cyber, I guess.
Yeah, I could dig it. Yeah, yeah. I was watching your I was looking at it through the Instagram. Well, not Instagram, but on Facebook. I know you're on Instagram, but it's not as much on Instagram as it is on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how long you been doing this?
This is gonna be my 4th year going into it. Our first book was Cyber Ronin, and that's where I got the inspiration for Cyber Comics. And it's Cyber with an X. And if you look on my Facebook page under Daniel Garcia, that's where I have most of my stuff is under my name, Daniel Garcia, Daniel Garcia Comics. The page that I know you from, a buddy of mine, a friend of mine, when I made my Facebook page, he said, why don't you make a separate page for your comics? And that way you kind of keep your personal stuff separate. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So I gave it a shot, and that's where you and I became social media friends, was through Cyber Comics. But if you look up Daniel Garcia Comics, you'll see me under Dan Comics. Yeah, that's where I have a lot of my stuff. And I have one of my first books, which was Cyber Ronin. I'll send you a link to it right now so you have it. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, I'm going to friend you, and then that way you'll have me on there.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, look, just go Daniel Garcia, and I'm gonna.
Well, I'm in my computer. Like you got me
one of our characters on there.
How do you spell it? Like Daniel, how do you spell your name again? I'm sorry. Daniel. Okay.
Oh no, you're
Daniel
good, buddy.
Garcia.
No worries, man. Yeah, hang on. You got? Okay, cool. All right, good. If not, I'll send it to you. It's funny, man. I just did an ad. I put an ad for the book.
Yeah. But
for this comic book that we have out now on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, I do got illustrations I can showcase.
I can send it to you.
Okay. And
yeah, I just sent it to you now, so you got me on them too.
Hold on. Yeah, you got it. Okay, hold on. All right, I got it on my phone. Yeah, it's not on my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
the page I just sent you is my.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Daniel Garcia. Okay, I see it.
You got it.
Yeah. I don't. Hold on. So damn, I can't. Yeah, it's not. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but it's one of your drawings.
Yeah, I can see. There you go. That's one of our pieces of work. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's our Spanish Thor.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's one of our characters.
Yeah. But how you got into like comics? Are you an artist or are you a writer? Or?
Yeah. So let me see. Coming out of COVID, that's one of my characters right there.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
I made that one with a buddy of mine. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff. My brain is always going, so I'm always creating things and whatever I think is gonna do best is what we'll try to do crowdfunders for, like Kickstarters and stuff, or Indiegogo. But a buddy of mine, I was fooling around with some character concepts. I'm a big Cyborg fan, like from the Teen Titans.
Right.
I love Cyborg. Yeah, I've always thought Cyborg was cool. Like even when George Perez I thought he was a really cool character, and I got into the. I've always been into the character, but I wanted to create a cybernetic hero, but I didn't want it to be just a regular dude. I wanted it to be like something different. And I'm also a big. I don't know if you remember the comic book Captain Carrot. And the
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I never read the comic, but I seen it. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, you know what? Let me create a cybernetic. Yeah, with a zoo crew.
Yeah, I got hold on. I got one of the illustrations. I think I got it. I'm not gonna get to your page, but through the computer. But for some reason,
there you go. That's Fast Girls. That's the current Kickstarter that we have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me like the characters and the story?
Sure. Yeah. So the current Kickstarter we have right now is the one you have up on your screen, which is the Final Action Strike Team. I'm a big G.I. Joe fan from the 80s and a big Transformers fan from the 80s.
Okay.
That was the era that I was raised in, was like the 80s when Thundercats was big and Voltron and G.I. Joe and Transformers were all big. I'm a big fan of that stuff. I grew up with all that. So I had put together some pages for the Final Action Strike Team. The characters you see there that's Recoil in the back with the eye patch that looks like Silver Sable. That's the leader of the team. And then the girl, then the girl in the front is she's a Spanish character. And she's actually like a kind of like an assassin for the Mexican army, and she came to work for the American army. It's a top secret team, kind of like the way G.I. Joe would be. You see him jumping out of that B-1 bomber in the back.
Yeah.
And basically, if they're being deployed for a mission, it's because things have gotten really, really bad, and there's no other alternative but to deploy the final action. That's why I call it the Final Action Strike Team. So it's the Fast Girls. It's illustrated by a guy that drew JLA back in the 90s. His name is Alan Goldman, and he illustrated all the pages. And then I have a really good inker on Alan's stuff. And the book is basically about this team of military like super soldiers, basically that infiltrate this base, and they blow the base up at the end of the book. I know I kind of gave it away, and it kind of leads into the second story, the second issue. But it's really fast paced. The art is great. This is art to one of the covers. And then if you look in the top left-hand side, Big Bad Press, that's a buddy of mine who does all my logos. So the Fast Girl logo there, he does logos for me for a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to give him a shout out. So I threw his information up there on top.
Yeah, that's cool. Like yeah.
Thanks,
and that so I didn't hear you right. So you wrote the story, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I work with a bunch of different artists. I don't draw very well myself, but I have people that I have artists that I pay to help me illustrate my stuff, and they're all great people. So they're great artists too.
Yeah, I mean that's dope if you could write a story like you kind of like mixed it with a G.I. Joe with a I don't know, like girls mission,
like Danger Girl,
something else.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so if you take like Charlie's Angels and like Danger Girl and G.I. Joe and you put it all together, that's what it would be like, something like that.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. I'm going to check that out, actually. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thank you, bro.
So what?
When you get a chance.
Yeah. So like, so how long did it take you to write the story?
Man, I'll tell you what. I could write a story. It's wild, man, the way that I write my stories. I could write a whole 20-page comic book in less than a weekend. Because my brain, my brain just doesn't stop. So it's always going. And I'm constantly writing stories. And then like if I feel that like right now, I sent you another image there for another story that I had created that I think would appeal to a lot of people from my demographic and maybe yours too. Are you an 80s person also? Are you an 80s kid
Yeah,
too?
I was
Like
born in the 70s. I was
okay,
born.
so you're like me.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was,
So I created another story called Shark Force.
yeah,
I'm a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. I love the turtles. I love the street
right.
sharks. I love all that stuff. So
Can you see this?
there you go. That's the one. Yeah, Shark Force. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so Savage Heroes Armed for Righteous Combat. So that was Shark Force. That was a title that I created, and I made some pages for it. A buddy of mine, this Mexican guy, is a great kid. He created the two main characters for me. There you go. Yeah, it's supposed to be a hammerhead and a tiger shark. So he made the characters for me. So that just shows you how my brain is always working. So that's one of the titles that we have. Hopefully, we'll get it out with the
Savage headed on for righteous combat. How you came up with that?
Man, it's just a lot of inspiration from a lot of different things, man. I'm like I told you, my brain doesn't stop. It's always going.
Yeah. You know, are you familiar with like King Shark from what's the call it? The Suicide Squad. Yeah. What kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Right. A little bit of Suicide Squad and the King Shark. I think that the King Shark character, I don't think he's very bright. I think he's not a very smart villain or character, whatever. Where these two guys are astronauts and they mutated with some sharks that they were carrying inside a space shuttle, and they mutated with the sharks and they became these big muscle-bound sharks that you see now. More like I got my inspiration from Savage Dragon too for these guys. Like I'm a big Savage Dragon fan. I like that big, like muscular, like the big muscular type of character. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. So like so what's the story about with these guys? Like they're like mutated sharks and they come. Is it similar to the girl team?
No. So these characters, there were two astronauts. To be an astronaut, you got to be intelligent. So like right off the bat, they're doctor level intelligence, and they're in a spacecraft similar to the Fantastic Four, where they're in space. They're so I don't know if you know this, but sharks are one of the creatures in the world that have a regenerative gene. Where something in a shark's DNA is like it has a regenerative property to it. So while they're in space and they're exploring this regenerative property to the sharks, they had inside a tank, they had a hammerhead and they had a tiger shark. And then when they're hit by these gamma rays, not gamma rays, I forgot what I call them. They're not called gamma rays, but while they're hit with these like neutrino rays, whatever they're called, the shuttle is hit by these rays. And then they're mutated with the sharks. So when they come back to Earth, they're mutated into mutant sharks. So and then now they fight crime, and there you go. That's the story.
Okay, like dude, like what's the bad guys like?
Yeah, so they're the good guys, and they hunt down other mutants that are back. Okay. So that's kind of where the story. That's kind of where the story starts.
All right, and how many issues that do you have on this?
So on that one, I've written out 2 issues so far. I have them written, and I have the first 6 pages done already, penciled and inked. Yeah, I'll share them, so you can take a look at them and tell me what you think of them.
But yeah, of course.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I got like 6 pages already done of that. And it was my buddy Roberto Jaramillo from Mexico did them for me. He's a good artist. Yeah.
Okay. So you're more of a Latino like a publication, I would say.
I like to think of myself as an ethnic publisher,
All right,
where
all right.
if it's anything to do with like Black American or Hispanic American, I want to get those two ethnic groups out there. In my personal opinion, is kind of what I'm going for. So like a lot of my characters in my comics will be of like some kind of ethnic descent. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't really see like too many like Latino superheroes like that. That's why I asked, you know.
yeah, no, I mean, there's a few, but you don't really get the
Yeah.
attention for. You're right. Like like there was a story that I was writing about. Like I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I love pro wrestling, but more than pro wrestling, I love lucha libre. I don't know if you like pro wrestling, but
Yeah, I know of Lucha Libre with the mask and the
yeah, it's
awesome.
great. It's great.
Yeah.
So I kind of developed a story with that too, and I'll send you some pages later on. I'll send to your instant messenger so you can take a look at them. But I have another story that I was kind of working on with that too, and I have a few pages of my buddy he's done a few pages of it for me too. So I'll show it to you.
Yeah. And who this character, the Cyber?
That's my first comic. That's my first comic. Yeah. It's my first comic that I did. We have one issue of it out so far.
Okay.
It did pretty good on the Kickstarter scene. It did all right. We printed the book and got it shipped out to everybody. So it was tough, but we got it done. So
yeah, like what's it about? If you don't mind me,
of course, man. Yeah, of course. So remember I was telling you about Cyborg and how I was a big Cyborg fan?
Right.
So this is my like interpretation of like a Cyborg character where he's a mutated rabbit, just like I was telling you before, but he comes from another planet. He's a mutant rabbit that comes from another planet, and then he's experimented on and given those cybernetic powers.
Right.
So his body, his arms and his legs and his eye and his ear, they're all cybernetic. So I'll send you the first issue so you could read it.
Okay.
Check it out. I'll send it to you. Well, as soon as we hang up, I'll send it to you. But basically, it's just another one of my. It was my first character that I ever created, and I kickstarted it. And I got to tell you, man, I've been trying like a lot of different things to see like what works. And I'll tell you the one thing I think that works is consistency. So no matter what you're doing, as long as you're consistent with it, you got a fan base, people will start like, seeing you more often, and hopefully they can support at that point in time. So that's the one thing I'm seeing, that support is a big thing. Supporting consistency.
Yeah. That's cool. Like do you go to like comic conventions? Where are you located, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. I'm in Miami.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, dude. So like how's like the comic convention like that in Miami? Is it cool, or is it a lot of people?
We have so I'm about 2 hours from Orlando. So Orlando's like where Disney World and stuff is, Universal Studios and all those big studios. I'm about 2 hours from there, and every year around February we have a big con called MegaCon, and it's probably it's not as big as New York, it's not as big as California, but it's pretty big. It's a pretty big con, and it's so big that we've had people like Todd McFarlane has been there, and I know he's been kind of out of the scene for a while, but we have a lot of newer artists there. So it's a pretty big con for us. And then we have the Miami Beach it's called the Miami Comic Con. It's a pretty big one for us too, and it's in Miami Beach. And then there's a couple other smaller shows. So there's always a show. But here's the thing that I find about shows. You got to be willing to spend the money and lose the money in order to get a table, because tables are expensive. Like a table's going to run you around $400.
Right.
So if you're not making back those $400 plus your gas, plus your time, plus everything else,
right,
then shows are good to go to. But you got to be consistent. You got to do it over and over and over again. So
Yeah. That's cool, man. Like,
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
yeah, like, yeah, the what I kept trying to get the words out my mouth, like going to like the comic cons and all that stuff, because I'm in New York City.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So yeah,
Oh yeah, man. Everything in New York's expensive. Everything in New York's
yeah,
expensive, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're not lying about that. You ever been to
You're in
New
the
York?
mecca, huh?
Have you been to New York, or you just like
I love New York, man. I
Oh,
love it
okay.
there. I love it there. My both my daughters went to school in New York,
Oh, okay.
and I would go to see them as often as I could. I love. I stayed in Lower Manhattan once for a weekend, and I spent some time with my kid. But
Oh,
she took
okay.
me around. She took me around, man. There was a comic store in every corner. It was great. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing about, New York, especially Manhattan. They do have a lot of comic book stores. I remember
Love it.
I used to steal this, like when I was a kid, I used to steal comics and all that stuff. I was crazy. Yeah, sometimes I would steal comics for this other kid, and I was crazy. I was bad, at the time, but
But, but you love them so much, you were like, I gotta have this, right? So
yeah. That's when I started seeing like the graphic novels and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
DC, they
yeah.
was having the graphic novels. Marvel, they had their graphic novels. They even they had like the Punisher annual. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I
there
remember
was, yeah, when I was, even when they used to be kids that used to steal from me from comics, and when I had some comics, I'm like, wow. And then my mom's, sometimes she would like tear the comics and stuff like that. I'm like,
Oh
oh my
no, man.
god. Yeah, I used to hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yep.
yeah, that
My
was
mom threw away some of mine when I moved out of the house. She
yeah.
threw. She's like, "Oh, I didn't think you wanted them anymore." I was like, "No, I did want them. Why did you throw them away?" Yeah.
Why mothers are like that, man? I don't understand that. I
They
really
don't
don't.
get. They don't get it. Yeah, they don't understand why we like comics so much. You know.
Yeah.
You know where I
Yeah.
went? You know where I went last year in New York? I went
Right.
to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I saw Yankee Stadium for the first time ever in my life.
Yeah.
We were in the Bronx, yeah, man, and
Yeah.
man, that was amazing. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Very,
Where
very cool.
did I go? I think my friend took me one time to the Shea Stadium.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
it's that's in Queens and stuff. Yeah,
How was that?
it was all right. I'm not a baseball fan like that. And him and his brother, they were into baseball. Yeah, and so I just kind of followed them and stuff, and and it was a lot of people, of course. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So
That was the
yeah.
one thing I noticed. Where do the Knicks play? What's the name of that stadium?
Oh, that's Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Okay,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever seen the Knicks play before in person?
No, but I went to one summer. I went to like a summer league or something. They went to they had like a summer league where they were I forgot, this was years ago. This was like in the 90s. They did
Like a
had a
practice
summer
league?
league. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool,
And
man. That's good.
I met, and there was like this guy. I went to basketball camp. I wasn't
Oh,
good in basketball, but he played for. His name was Tony Campbell. He played for the Knicks at the time. This was
oh,
like
cool,
'93 and
cool.
stuff. Yeah,
Nice. That's cool,
yeah,
man. That's good.
yeah, yeah.
I've always wanted to make a. I was telling my girl that I've always wanted to make a basketball comic, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, but I just think I'd be excited to make something like that. Like a basketball comic would be cool. Make it like an anime or like a manga style comic. I thought would be really cool.
just basketball. Period. Or
Super powered basketball where
yeah,
like each character has like a mutation or something, or they're playing against like Space Jam, like the original Space Jam. Remember that when they
yeah.
played against the
Right,
aliens? Something
right.
like that. I've always thought it'd be really cool to do something like that. There's a couple basketball comics that are out there by NBA players, and they're pretty cool.
Years ago, real quick, like years ago, I think the Harlem Globetrotters, they had an animated superhero cartoon about cool. That's cool. I remember like this was like in the 70s, like late 70s.
They were in with Scooby-Doo. They were in a lot of the Scooby-Doo episodes.
Yeah, but they also had like if I'm not mistaken, they had a separate
that's really cool.
Animated cartoon. They was experimenting in the 70s. They had a lot of cartoons that they just came out for one season, and you never seen it again. Yeah, that was
good too.
Yeah. That was one thing. That was the strangest thing. I guess because I don't know, maybe it was the ratings wasn't good or something like that, and they just was just throwing things out there, But
you're trying different things.
Because there are YouTubers that I don't know how they do it, but they make a compilation of cartoons that was in the 70s and 80s and sometimes in the 90s, and they put it all together, and it's like a 2-hour, 5-hour
that's cool
live stream video or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
There's a guy that does stuff like that. He'll showcase different shows from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and Secret Galaxy. He has he's got like I'll send it to you. He does like Voltron, he does like the Mighty Orbots, he does like he does a bunch of stuff. And he it's about half an hour each one, but when I find that on YouTube, I'll send it to your instant message so you see it. He's pretty cool. Secret Galaxy. He has good stuff.
Yeah.
Are you sorry.
Huh?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to talk about your comics, really.
Please. No problem.
Yeah, like
Atomic
like
Vamp.
This is the Atomic Vampire. What is this about?
So this is a Kickstarter that we actually just wrapped this one up maybe 2 weeks ago, and now it's going in. I'm hoping it goes in a print within the next couple of weeks. But let me get into the story. So it's a vampire female who has psychic abilities, and she's able to manifest those bats you see there, the pink bats. So she's able to manifest those pink bats that fly around her, and then so kind of like like Psylocke. You know how Psylocke has the ability to create like knives and stuff. She can create these pink bats, and she creates like these chains. And she's like an assassin. No, she's not like she's an assassin in the story. And then in the first issue, she's trying to uncover this big like conspiracy that's happening, that her father's at the forefront of it, and then she fights these ninjas, and now she's going to go to this island where her father is and try to take out his organization. So but she's got the powers, like the psychic abilities. But the reason why I called her Atomic Vamp is because her heart runs on like this like atomic like fusion type of thing. So it gives her like super strength, super superpowers, so to speak. So that's why I called her Atomic Vamp. So she's like an atomic vampire. So, but there's a lot better. That image isn't bad, but there's a lot of really good images on there of her. And even one of the covers that came out.
I think like one of them, like you have, there was a picture of her with a super group or something like that.
Yep, the Horde. Yeah, that was the Horde, and my buddy, who he's drawing. What's he drawing right now? He's drawing some big book right now. I think he's drawing like Monster Squad. No, what's he drawing? Monster Commandos or something like that. He's drawing right now for. I forgot which company he's working for right now, but it's that hero team's called the Horde. So and then that's kind of or is it more like a mercenary team? Yeah, that's my.
So is it like Yeah. Is it? Is the is the
She is.
comic like here, like the illustration for the vampire? Okay. So this is
Yeah,
this is her. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I see it with the bats.
with the
Yeah,
bats and stuff. Yep, Savage Blade. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a story my buddy and I did.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Wow, it's
yep,
kind of exotic.
a little
Like
bit. Yeah, yeah.
it's like more. Yeah, like no. I was going to ask, like, is it
It's more
it's
adult than
exotic
anything.
thing? Oh, okay. All right, got you. I got you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's more
yeah,
adult where we're trying to find a different niche there for the characters. So we just again just trying different things.
yeah. It kind of remind me a little bit like Underworld with that
Yeah.
girl. I forgot her name. Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
Celine.
could
Celine's
see.
the
Yeah,
yeah,
Celine.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because you kind of like when you see her, like it could have been like a comic book Underworld with her starring her, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, with Celine by herself. Yeah, man. That could have been
yeah,
a comic book easily.
yeah,
Good story. Yeah, that's a good story. I think it was like 5 movies or something, wasn't it? That was a good movie.
right, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like
Do you write comics or anything yourself? Are you a writer or an artist or anything?
I tried over the years. I've tried over the years. I draw. I there were points I did draw. I could show you some illustrations.
Ah,
Yeah, I could show you illustrations. This is. I think I showed the last person this, but this was based on Hanshin. He was a
okay.
Chinese. He was like a Chinese general, and he encounters this ruffian in the street, and
Okay.
he couldn't really do anything. He was carrying a sword one day, and so the ruffian was challenging him to kind of like, you did to chop off my head, and if you can't, you got to crawl between my legs. And
Okay.
so humbly he did, because he didn't want to like get into like to a point where he had to kill him. So the best thing was to like crawl between his legs. And
Ah,
so
okay.
so like doing that, it kind of like gave him more of strength, like to a point where it's almost like Jesus, like you turn the other cheek. There's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
you know a
There's,
lot of
there's
a
like a
lot of
message
times
behind it to
people,
some degree.
yeah, a lot of times
Uh,
people, they don't like, especially now, people in general, they may not understand, but it has like a it it like when a person kind of endures things, they have like virtue, and it's more of an energy thing wise,
yeah.
but people don't really understand these things, and so that's why it never was put out there like that. But a lot of times, you know these things happen because of karma that people have built over the
Mhm.
years,
Yep.
like, and not just in other lifetimes. That from what I know, from what I understand, what I'm telling you, because like me just explaining
Yeah.
everything to you,
Yeah.
it's real
No, I
deep
get you.
to it. But to make it simple for the average person, it like it kind of it gave him willpower, because he became like a general over the year. He came in a general during his career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So and
Okay.
then the funny thing about it, he met him, the guy that he crawled under his legs. He met him, and he wanted to join his army. That was the ironic thing about it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like
So
it reminds me of like an old Shaw Brothers kung fu movie or something like
yeah,
that where
yeah,
there's always a message behind those it's a strong message too, so that's good. Yeah,
yeah.
I like comics like that when they have strong messages behind it.
Yeah, but over the years, I tried to write my comic. It's not very easy to do, like, like, and just even flesh it out. Yeah, I would think so hard, like, to just do something. I think one time I did a comic on one of my coworkers because he was telling me about his cats. And so, he would tell me these crazy things about how his cat would they would do like these crazy things, and so I just did it, and he enjoyed it. And this was like years ago, but
Yeah, it's cool.
me just like trying to do it. I even went to alternative comic class, but it just didn't really turn out. To make it short, it just caught my interest to interview people that do kind of create comics and stuff, like independent comic creators, writers, and artists. So that's my story. Yeah,
that's good. It's a good when you're so passionate about something, whether it's comics or lifting weights or martial arts or writing or whatever, like you kind of want to get into every facet of it, and that's kind of the way I am with comics too. It's like sometimes I'll wake up, man, in the morning and I'm like, man, I hate comics. I can't stand comics, right? Like I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing anything with comics today. And then I'll put on a movie or something or in the background as I'm doing my work, and I'm like, damn it, I love comics, you gotta, and it sucks you back in, and then you're in front of your computer and you're writing again. It's like it's just ingrained in you, man. Like just your creativity. You can't stop that. You can't stop being creative. Some people are just like that way. They're just creative.
Yeah, I'm not a comic book reader like that. I was more into the animation. I think the animation, kind of led me to look at comics like the Super Friends, and you would see Superman, or Superman like in the comics in the newsstands, or you see like a kid, at school reading the comics. Really, I would see that. A lot of kids that I grew up with, they had comics. And they would draw. They would actually draw from the comics too. That would kind of made me want to draw more a lot of times. Inspired.
That's it. Inspired. You're like in the school. Like I went to all bad schools here in Miami when I was a kid. All the schools I went to were bad, and it was they're all very ethnic schools. So like. It was a big population of either you're Latino or you're from the islands, and it's just the way that it was in Miami, So, and then there was a lot of street kids, that I went to school with, and then one day I was in a class with a friend of mine, and I say friend, but we were like school friends, and he had a rough upbringing, man. He was like, his parents weren't good to him, and he lived in a rough neighborhood. And one day I was looking at him, he was like, we're talking about something, and he pulled out a Daredevil comic book. He's like, do you like Daredevil? I was like, I love Daredevil. I think Daredevil's great. I said, well, why do you like Daredevil? And he goes, because he beats up the bad people, and he's a good guy that is on the edge of being a good guy or it could be a bad guy like Batman. But it was funny because he relate to Daredevil because the neighborhood that we grew up in was bad, so he could relate to all the characters that beat up all the bad people, So it was just neat. Like you said, like when you look at Superman is like an everybody character. That's an everyone character. Superman isn't just for the rich or the poor or the white or the black or the Spanish or the Indian. It's like Superman is for everybody. He's an alien, for crying out loud, that came to our planet and he saves people. He doesn't care if you're where you're from or how poor or rich you are. He's going to save you. Doesn't matter what. Like how more universal can you get? Same thing with Spider-Man. The same thing. It's all very, it's meant to inspire you. It's those comic books are meant to some degree, either make you relatable to it or to inspire the hell out of you. So that's kind of the way that I grew up with comics, and here I am. So what are you going to do?
To piggyback on what you were saying, I would say that Clark Kent, I gravitated with Clark Kent than Superman, because Superman, of course, everybody admired Superman, but Clark Kent, he was like almost the the nobody, like
like
he,
Peter Parker.
he had to hide. They had to hide their strength. They
Peter Parker was mine. I like Peter Parker more than Spider-Man. Like you're saying, you like Clark Kent more. I like Peter Parker. Whenever I read a Spider-Man comic, I love Spider-Man. But to see Peter Parker struggle and go through the things that he went through, even in like the Tobey Maguire movies, which everyone, we hate the Tobey Maguire movies, but I like
you hate the Tobey Maguires. You said people
like him.
Oh, okay.
People don't like it. I like those are my favorite, But to see him struggle and live in a big city like New York and have a hard time and struggle, like that's relatable to me. Like that's like Clark Kent was relatable to you. That was relatable to me. Was like someone struggling to make it. So that's where I think comics inspire, hope and like make you want to come back and read it more. So.
Yeah. Did you go to like a art school or like
no? My parents
classes.
No.
How did you like develop the writing skills and stuff like it just came to you?
I read a lot. Yeah, I read a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I think reading is super important. I think that educating yourself is really important too. Even if like I went to crummy schools, all the schools I went to were garbage. No offense to the educators, but it's just my schools were all bad. And I lived in a crappy neighborhood where my parents worked 2 jobs each, so I grew up in some really shitty areas of Miami. So it was a lot of it was like, don't go outside at night because, after a certain time at night, you can't be outside. Right. So I stayed in a lot and I read a lot of comics. So I would go to the store by my house and like here in South Miami where I grew up, they were like a little bodegas, like you guys have in New York, like the little market, like a little, a bodega. And I'd buy comics. I'd ride my bike back home and I'd read my comics, man. And then it just, as I got older, I read a lot about how to write and how to Will Eisner was a big inspiration for me. I'm not saying I'm like Will Eisner. I'm saying that he was inspirational to me as a kid because he taught me how to write a lot of the stuff that I write now in that format. But I just educated myself, and then my imagination has always been just like I told you. I've always had a wild imagination, and even now at 53, I can't be in Disney World or somewhere where there's a lot of inspiration, because it's like I'm always thinking of something.
When did you decide to do the comic thing?
2022 when I met my girlfriend and she's very artistic also. She could write, she could draw, she could do all that stuff. And I showed her the Xyber Ronin. I wrote it out. I drew out some really rough sketches and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And she's like, I think this looks really cool. And I know you like the turtles. You're a big turtle fan. She's like, I think you should make a comic book. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So she kind of inspired me to do comics. She helped me. She was really inspirational in that. And then the rest of it was just me where I'm like, you know what? People write comics all the time. Kickstarter's full of them. It's like, why can't I do it? So, I just found myself a good team.
Yeah, since I've been on Instagram, a lot of times I, discovering, artists, I see a lot of people doing their own thing, outside of the mainstream comics. Yeah.
No, it's big. I mean, when you and I were kids, when you and I were growing up, to make a comic book, you either had Marvel or DC or like some like Rebel type studio that was like underground, doing comics, indie comics studio. And then Image Comics came out. But even back then, I remember my friends would draw, they'd make comics and they would staple, they would take 11 by 18 sheets of paper, they'd fold them in half, they draw, and then they staple the middle of it, and they make ash can comics out of them.
Ash
now
can
anybody
comics.
can make a comic, honestly.
They say that again. Remind that again. You said
can,
Like they put
Yeah.
plastic.
So an ash
Okay.
can. Yeah. So an ash can comic is like I take an 11 by 18 sheet of
Yeah.
paper, I fold it in half, I draw my comic book, and then I staple the middle of it, make it like a
Oh,
comic.
okay. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, and people would make ash can comics, and they would sell them at school or sell them wherever, and make a front cover to it, make a back cover, But now finding a printer is easy, as long as you have the money for it, anybody can make a book. Really,
Yeah.
honestly, anybody can make a comic. It's just how much time you got. So
yeah. I mean, there's stuff to talk about. You got this character as well. Who is he? Oh, he's froze.
Yeah, that's my Night Viper character.
Oh,
that's my Night Viper guy. Yeah, so he's my ex-military. You'll see him in the pages of the Fast Girls later on in the story.
Oh, he's in Fast Girl. Okay.
I got my inspiration from. He will be, he will be later on during the issues. But that was my. I'm a big Milestone. Have you read any Milestone comic stuff?
I haven't. I would say now I not tell you the truth. No, especially like in the 90s. But I was looking at some because I work at the library, and I would see like these superhero groups and stuff like that. I know Icon and who else? I forgot the other characters, but Icon, he stuck in my head, and Static Shock, of course. Everybody knows Static. Yeah. But go ahead, what you were saying.
Check out what I just sent you on Messenger. No, you're good. But check out what I sent you on Messenger right now. Look at what I sent you. I don't remember if it's .org or .com, but when you have a chance, that has a lot of good stuff on it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see it. I can't. You might not be able to see it, but
no, I can't. But I'm gonna find it for you just real quick. Check it out. It's this one here. Yeah. It's this one. It's called. Well, so that character there was an inspiration for me from. Oh, I found it. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you now. Okay. Check it out. When you have a chance, you got to go through all the ads and stuff. But if you don't mind going through ads, check this out right there. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Check that one out when you have a chance.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You'll find everything that you want on there. So this is an inspiration for me. This character here was. This guy here was an inspiration. I was inspired by Hardware and by Icon for this guy here.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I kind of created this guy. I created it myself, and then I had a buddy of mine draw him out for me. But he's like an ex-military, like football hero, and he ends up, becoming a superhero. So. That was my inspiration for that.
So
I got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I got that guy too. Yeah.
Like, who is he?
So that guy's going to be part of he'll be part of the Fast Girls team also, and that's my homage to the football hero, the football star. I don't know if you may not remember this, or I don't know if you know, but there was a football. I think he was a Cardinal. Was the team that he played for. His name is I'll tell you right now. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. Bear with me here a moment.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot his name.
So I'll showcase some pictures. Okay.
So there was the guy that played for, and I want to say he was a Cardinal, but he joined the military. It was during, I want to say it was during Desert Storm.
Okay.
And here he is, right here. His name is Pat Tillman, and I forgot his name, and I'm ashamed that I forgot his name. He was an Army Ranger, Patrick Daniel Tillman. He went to Afghanistan as an Army Ranger in 2004, and he died. And he was an Arizona Cardinal, and his number was number 40 for the Cardinals.
Oh, okay. So, I didn't know that one.
Yeah. So if you look him up, he played for the Arizona Cardinals, and he became an Army Ranger, and he went over in active duty. I think it was friendly fire that he died. It was something tragic. But anyhow, I created that hero there. I called him Gridiron, and so he wears this suit of armor, sort of like Iron Man armor, and he fights for the U.S. military. So that's kind of my like homage to and paying respect to that character, to that real person.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So he has like a solo comic, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna do a solo comic with him, and then kind of branch off from the Fast Girls with that storyline. So he's kind of in it also. So yeah, I should have posted that image today on my Facebook page for Memorial Day. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So how many issues? Yeah. So how many issues again with the Fast Girls?
So right now I'm on issue number 3. And we started. Issue 1 is done, and issue number 2 is started. So we have like 3 pages of issue number 2 done. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you mostly like you mostly do the writing, and the other people just do the artists, the art.
Correct.
Okay. Like how long does it take you? How long does it take to make the comic? Like if you can tell.
Man, that's the toughest part, because unless you have Photoshop and unless you know how to put the files together, it's a pain. Yeah, it's a real pain. So that could take, if you're a one-man army and you could do it all yourself, if you could pencil, ink, draw, color, and put your own books and letter and do your own books, it'll probably take a couple months. But if you don't have the ability to put a book together yourself, it could take some time to do everything, because you got to find someone to help you do it. That's really the toughest part.
How long did it take you to do like the couple of issues?
So you gotta hire someone to pencil, they gotta ink, and then they gotta color, and you gotta letter it. So depending on your finances, so if you got the money for it, it's a lot easier. But if like I can't spend all my money on comics. I got other things I gotta do. I gotta take care of my family too. So I got a new wife I gotta take care of. So it becomes a little more challenging. So it could take you up to 3-4 months if you're doing other things and not just comics. It could take up to 3-4 months, and depending on what you're doing. So it can be challenging. You got to find a partner in this game. If you don't, it could be tough.
Yeah, and you partnered with somebody.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of different partners. I got a buddy of mine, Trevor, who does. We've done some stuff in the past. He's in Canada, so it makes it a little more difficult for me. But he's a good guy. He's a great guy. He has Crossfire Comics, and then now a partner with another friend of mine of Grok Comics. His name is Bill. Bill's a great guy also, and he's helping me put these books together now. So it's a good partnership.
Yeah. So what was I about to ask you? So you write, and the other people, they do the art and the ink and all that stuff. Yeah, wow. So it takes like 3 months. Wow, that's
time. Yeah, it takes some time, man.
That ain't too bad, is it? That ain't like. Would you say that's too bad? Like too long, or I don't know.
No, I mean it isn't. It depends on what you got going on. If you're if that's all you're doing, if all you're doing is, like if I had a regular 9 to 5 job, and I could just, go to work, come home, and that's all I did, it would be okay. But my job isn't 9 to 5. Like I'm on call 24 hours, and I'm most of the time I'm usually working. So when I come home, I got to find the time to do that stuff. So it could be challenging.
What do you do if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind. I'm an investigator, so I work. I work I work criminal cases, but I'm not a cop. I don't for any law enforcement agency, but I work as like a private investigator. But it's all criminal stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
you catch people doing like some crazy stuff, or
mainly criminal stuff. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Stuff like
you probably should make a comic out that'd be you can make a comic out that.
I know, man. Like a lot of the people that I talk to are like, "Oh, you should be writing like, stuff about investigations and things like that."
Yeah,
and yeah, that'd be cool. Like I'm a big Batman fan. I like that he's a detective. I think that's cool. The world's smartest detective. I think that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. You say that, you're telling me this, like an investigator that's a / comic book writer.
Yeah, man. It's when you were messaging me earlier on Facebook, I was actually doing some stuff for a buddy of mine that I work with, and that's why I was like, I gotta. As a matter of fact, he's messaging me now. I gotta run some license plates for him, so I gotta. I gotta find these people for him. So it's sometimes it's very cool,
Yeah, there's other things. I know you're busy, but like who's this? Like tell me about this character.
That's Stalker. Yeah,
Stalker.
That's my homage to the Layfield '90s comics. I had originally called them something different, but I ended up calling him Stalker for the comic book, like kind of like a ninja type of character.
Like a would I say Storm Shadow, or I don't know.
There you go. Yep, like a Storm Shadow, or exactly. Yeah, like a Storm Shadow or like a Snake Eyes or something,
Yeah, that's cool. And then you have other stuff. That's the Xyber rabbit you was telling me about. I'm gonna send you some stuff,
man. When that's a cybernetic rabbit. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but real quick, like how far do you see yourself just like consistently like doing this?
So I got to be honest, man. I think that I got to give myself a little bit of a break financially. Right. I've done a few things. I've made a few moves financially with comic books that I've taken, a lot of my time and a lot of my finances to make it. And I gotta pump the brakes just a little bit to finish these last Kickstarters that I did, and get those out. And once those are done, I'm gonna reassess things and maybe not create as often as I was creating, but I want to do one big thing for this year after this Kickstarter is over, and I haven't figured out what that is yet, and it's expensive, man. So I gotta watch myself financially too. So I love comics. I'm gonna continue making them, but for right now, I gotta see where things go, because I think that the industry is saturated with superheroes. I love superheroes. It sounds like you love superheroes too, but it's just saturated. There's so many superheroes out there, and you can pick up a superhero book anywhere, on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, at the comic store. So it's like there's gotta be. I'm trying to think of something different to do. That's not superheroes. That's something different, but that's still within the realm of what I like. It's a long answer, I know, but trying to figure it out, man. We'll see where things go. So I'm not done, but but we just got to figure. I got to figure out like what's happening. I mean, I have to reinvent myself here for a little bit, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think like especially there's a lot of superhero comics, especially like I noticed that there's a lot of manga. A manga. What's the word I'm looking for? Like copying
Like
styles of manga. Like like people they love creating manga. You want to see something different. A lot of times. So yeah. I mean like there's comic book artists that do like documentaries and all that stuff. This documentary art and I think because you grew up and you want to find like a superhero that sticks out to people. That's why
people have superhero fatigue.
Yeah. That never like burns out, But like you said, like it's really saturated to a point where it's hard to keep track on who's who in comics. So it's really it can be tough. So
it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I mean, they're pumping out Marvel movies every 6-7 months. So why does someone want to pick up my superhero book and pay $20 for shipping and handling when you can just go to, HBO and put on the Avengers or Disney Channel and put on the Avengers? Why do you want to buy a comic book from me? Like, so there's got to be there's something out there for me. I got to figure it out myself, and maybe it's my basketball comic. I don't know. Maybe it's a soccer comic. Maybe it's a sports comic. I don't know. Maybe it's something different. Maybe it's the Shark Force. I don't know. It's just something different. I don't want to do. I love superheroes, but that's not what's going to get me out there. It's going to be something different, and I got to figure that out. So, that's my opinion.
Don't sell yourself short, because I mean, what you did doing is cool, because it's not like I said before. Like I try to write and stuff, and it's not easy. Like coming with ideas.
No,
it's not. Like sometimes, like you would have to get stories and stuff and just draw and it's not easy. Like everybody can't do it. That's the thing.
I think you're onto something. You're right. It isn't easy, and if you're gonna write something good, that may not be easy. Anybody can write. Anybody can write anything they want. But you write something good that's memorable, or write something that people are going to want to see. Anybody can write it, but how good is it? So that's the key to it, is writing something that the masses want to see, that people want to see, and that's going to get you out there. And that's where, personally, I think that way, so I gotta reinvest myself financially and mentally into doing something again. So that's where I'm at. It's tough, like you said. It isn't easy. If you want to do it right, it's not easy.
Yeah, but how was the readership since you put out like these issues on Kickstarter? No, I was asking like how was the readership?
I lost you there for a second. I'm sorry. Repeat the question.
No, I was asking how was the readership for you? Can you hear me? I think his stuff froze. Wait till it kind of froze a little bit. Can you hear me? No, I was asking like how was the readership since you released your comics on Kickstarter? No, how was the readership?
Man, I think it's I think I don't know if it's the reader. I don't know if it's the people that want to read the comics more than they like the pretty images on the covers. Like I think people, like they'll read it, but I think that more than anything, I think it's the art that they want to see. So like, I don't know. I feel like people are more art collectors now than they are comic readers. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like, like to pick up a book and really thumb through it and read from the beginning to the end, I think we've lost that. I think people have lost that. I think people want pretty pictures. So, I don't know how much do you want to put into something like that, if people aren't really going to read it, So I think you need to write, personally, I think you got to write 10 issues and have like 3 of them ready to be released with everything drawn in order to do it right nowadays, so not one issue at a time. So I don't know. Yeah. It just depends. It depends on the person. I think it's a lost art. Reading a comic book is a lost art. I don't think everyone wants to do it anymore. I think it's, oh, look how pretty these pictures are. I think that's what people want nowadays. Maybe I'm being cynical. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even really like comment on it too much, sometimes, because, it's not always easy, kind of just like, I think a story that I really kind of got into was like The Walking Dead,
Yeah,
like not the TV series, but the comic book. Like I remember like I would read like the issues from Barnes and Nobles. I could, I at the time I didn't really was able to buy, but like every time I would kind of like watch this TV series, it made me want to read the book, and so like the more I kind of like read the comic, because it was like in a compilation, like every issue of it. And so I would read it, and then I would want to read another compilation of it. Yeah. That's what I think it kind of made me like constantly like read it, like the story, how it was. So I don't know, like sometimes I do get attracted with the art, and on in comics and stuff they're writing, but then it's like, they do kind of go together, like the art and the writing, because it's like, if you're just looking at pictures and stuff like that, and so the art, so the writing has to be with, it has to go with the art, if I'm articulating it right.
Agreed. Yep. If the artist doesn't match the writing of the story, that throws a rhythm off of what you're reading. So I try to find the right artist for the right story, because you're not gonna, you're not gonna have the guy that drew Garfield in the 80s draw Justice League. That's it may not work. You gotta have the, and speaking of The Walking Dead, like that was a universal book. That's universal. Like anybody can pick it up and read it. It's almost like a slice of life comic book where you don't have superheroes. You have people in a bad situation that do heroic things. But it was appealing to the masses because anybody can relate to it. Oh my God, it's a zombie apocalypse. What the hell am I going to do? Boom. You got people hooked. That's great. Because you're creating an environment, and then you're creating characters that are in that environment and how they deal with what's happening to them. Boom. Instant heroes.
To piggyback on what you're saying, I mean, I've talked to other comic book, writers and stuff, and some of them it didn't really had to do too much with superheroes. I remember there was somebody they created a situation where the bear was the antagonist of the story. They were killing people. And then there was another writer that he went to like African civilization and stuff like that, like kingdoms. They call it like I forgot the name of the comic, but it was mostly about the African civilizations back in the past. So I mean, I think you just have to find like the concepts,
No, I agree, and there's comics for everyone,
right?
Like there's literally a comic book for everybody's taste.
Yeah,
You like space adventures, got you a comic. You like vigilantes? I got your comic. You like mutated turtles that run around New York fighting ninjas? I got your comic. There's a comic book for everybody. There's an anime for everybody. There's a manga for everybody. So you just gotta know where to find it and what you may like and what your taste is. So there's story there. It's that's the beauty of comic books and of writing, is that you're right. Like, I write what I feel and like what I'm thinking, what I liked and what I grew up with. Those are things that I grew up with. So things that I saw. So I write that way. So that's personally. I don't know what anybody else feels, but that's just the way that I write. I just want to be universal and be like relatable to people. So what I think is really
yeah. I mean, but it's cool, like doing. I mean, with the fast go, like, do you see how far did you get that with that? Like,
well, so I got to see how this issue does. Right now, we're halfway through our goal. We're almost at $1,000. So if I was a betting man, I would tell you that we'll probably hit around $2,000, which is enough to pay myself back, kind of, and then to finish doing what I got to do. And then, the second issue, I'm hoping I could put that out here real soon. But I gotta fill some other stuff that I have promised. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm like I told you, I'm not gonna stop creating. I just gotta give myself a break to kind of catch up on things. But I'm not gonna stop. I just gotta give myself a break. Right. So
yeah, man. I mean that's cool that you came out with a comic. So
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
yeah. It ain't easy.
Well,
but fun.
Yeah, because it's not easy, man. I try to do it. Just writing a story, it's really tough.
Just keep at it, man. Just keep going, man.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it. Like there's a lot of help there's a lot of people that can help you. A lot of we've come so far from a technological perspective that there's a lot of programs that can help you write stuff, and you just got to do your homework and figure out what's best for you.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, not to cut you off, sometimes idea do come to my head, but then it's like, I don't know how far it'll go. That's the thing too. So, but I don't know, maybe I should start like small and then, to see how far. You see, you just start small and just see, they take baby steps. That's the simple way for me to say
baby steps, man. Yeah, just create something, go with it, write little by little, write it, and just see and see how it does. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But I mean, I appreciate you, man, sharing
Anytime,
your comics. Yeah.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You got it. I'll flip you some stuff here in a moment. I'll send it to your email. I'll send you a Dropbox. It's a Google Drive invite. And I'll send you a couple comics, or one of the comics that we have, and maybe some pages to another one, and just to kind of show you what we're doing. So
yeah. In the future, we can also talk too, man. Yeah, like to see what happens,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just hit me up on Messenger, man, and I'll share my number on there with you. You can call me. Text me during the week, like, hey man, you got a minute, and we can talk about stuff if you want. I can help you out with some things, just give you some ideas.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you,
man. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show, man. I appreciate you too.
Yeah, it's no doubt, man. No, your guess any. Well, I don't want to say any time, but your guess in the future.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Okay. All right. You got it. Thank you, bro.
All right. Thank you,
all right, my friend. Have a good night. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, got you.
Be well, brother. All right, man.